Yo, this is Fling with DFS Army. This is your week 3 review, Millie Maker review, some DFS Army big wins, and MME Strategy up top DFS Pros. What did they do to leverage the field and try to take down the tournament? We're going to take a look. All right, so I want to start out with some DFS Army wins, some takedowns. Keep it short and sweet. We got a first place, Steven, 2K right there. So that's pretty nice. Helmets, helmet after helmet. So helmets everywhere in the mini max, 239. This would actually been good enough to take second place in the Millie Maker, as we're about to look at. Another $1,000 win. And the thing here is it's not always about the biggest win, you know, the 5K win, the 6K, or the 5-figure win, the 6-figure win. It's just about good ROI sometimes. So that's what we do at DFS Army. Teach you how to take down tournaments, low stakes, high stakes, all the tournaments. And specifically, want to shout out to our boy Sliders. We're going to look at his MME strategy a little later. A couple weeks ago, I believe it was week 1, he took like 12th place in the Millie, 15K. Well, he did it again this week. In fact, took down 2 tournaments, different lineups, 15K here for first place in the 150K slant, 234. Really good stuff for him. And we're going to obviously look at some of his lineups. And then, yeah, also in the flea, he got second place, 20K. So really good week for him, 35K just right there. Sliders continues to be GPP dominant to start this year, and that's something new for him. So good job on Sliders, and shout out to other DFS Army VIPs that won great money. By the way, guys, if you're here, you like this kind of content, us breaking down past slates, doing a little bit of MME strategy, let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know who you played, and let me know how the slate went for you. So we're going to get into what won the Millie right here. So this was on Tournament Tactics. This was one of the calls. Sam Darnold, he has been playing really well with Minnesota. So him to Justin Jefferson. And we also had Aaron Jones. So this was one of those rare quarterback plus wide receiver plus running back stacks. But they get there too. And you know, it does not look like we had a bring back on the Houston side. So this is really just a Sam Darnold stack, which was contrarian. Jefferson was under 9% owned. Darnold 6%. Aaron Jones contrarian. Like this whole entire lineup was very contrarian. So that's what you love to see in the middle. Use all salary 49.7. You know, under 90% ownership that you honestly wanted to fade. I think more times than not, that's one thing we see when there's chalk, even when they're in a good spot for defense, it often is something you want to fade. But, you know, the rest of the lineup crushed it, so it didn't matter. Charbonnet, that was good chalk. We like that. You had a favored team, and they were at home. They were pretty big favorites. He was getting the backfield to himself with Kenneth Walker being out, so that was a good play. Kyren Williams, this was a good play just in theory, because if you think about it, divisional foes, they play each other hard, and you get Kyren Williams on a team that is depleted of pass catchers because of injuries. They're going to run the ball, and that's exactly what they did, and they ran it effectively, and they've always ran it effectively under Sean McVay. So this was actually, I just think, a really sharp play, and, you know, even if you get just a little bit of ownership, 6%, you know, you're more than double the field. We'll end up seeing, you know, some of these guys where they were with their exposures. But yeah, Kyren, low ownership smash. Justin Jefferson, obviously, he's a guy, I talked about this last week. There's certain guys you just want to play every single week. You know, he didn't have a great week by Justin Jefferson standards, but still got 20 points. And, you know, a lot of the chalk wide receivers failed. Deontay did not fail. And we should have known, and, you know, this was kind of one of the things that I talked about on Tournament Tactics too on this channel. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Make sure you hit that notification button so you don't miss it when it goes live every Friday at 5 Eastern. But this is the thing they talked about on this channel is, there's going to be the boost with Dalton coming in and taking over for Bryce Young, who was terrible. And we got Deontay at low salary, under 5K, and really pretty low ownership. And he smashed. And then Juwan Jennings, this was just one of those plays. If you just thought, okay, so chalk wide receivers, they fell at a high rate, um, very high rate, unless, it's Tyreek Hill in a great spot or Justin Jefferson in a great spot. Like a lot of these Ayuks and Devonta Smiths, they fail at a high rate. So it's how can I get leverage? Oh, maybe Jawan Jennings is going to get the 3 touchdowns as opposed to Ayuk having the big day. And that's exactly what happened. And he just unbelievable to see Jawan Jennings at 4,100 get 49 points. Promise you that'll never happen again. It definitely was an outlier, but I think the principle here is just knowing when to look for direct leverage spots. And that's what we got with Jennings. And the same thing with Dallas Goedert. Devonta Smith was going to be the chalk. So how do I get leverage? Let me look at playing Dallas Goedert. Now, Devonta Smith got certainly added to this, but Dallas Goedert had a huge catch and run, ended up with 30 points. Again, just looking for leverage. That's the principle there. So really good lineup. I want to just kind of look at the top lineups here. Yeah, you had another Andy Dalton. Or you had that last one was Darnold, but we have a Dalton to Deontay Johnson. So that was I think that was Geek's call on tournament tactics was Dalton. 3% ownership. Kamara busted. If he'd played someone else, obviously this would have been about a week. But yeah, for 7,500, didn't do nearly enough. But still, hey, one. We get a really good running back at low ownership. Like, I think that's just kind of something you want to think about when you're building your lineups on Sundays. How can I get ceiling? And you're going to do that from really good players like Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, Justin Jefferson, and try to get him at low ownership. So that's a great way to leverage the field. Amon-Ra, decent day. Jacoby Myers, Deontay, and a lot of the same guys here: Deontay, Goddard, and Juwan Jennings. See what third place did. We got Dak, and that's not the last time we're going to see him. This is pretty funny though, because this is Dak naked, so we're not going to really look at that one. Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. Dak to CeeDee Lamb. No Baltimore bring backs. Saquon had a great day too. I'm surprised he wasn't in on more of these top 4 or 5 lineups because he had a great day and yeah, 36.6% ownership. Yeah, and Jennings is a guy you're going to see a lot, obviously, and Cole Kmet and Rome Odunze both had great days as well. So a lot of contrarian lineups, 53%, 234 points, 44%. So it was the day of the chalk just failing. So, we're going to see contrarian lineups in those situations. Now, this lineup, Dak to Ferguson, and, by tight end standards, Ferguson had a pretty good day. Goddard obviously broke the slate, but Ferguson, pretty solid. There was the Laportas and the McBrides, didn't get there. Bowers didn't quite get there, but Ferguson had a good day. Henry as well. Henry was a guy that I was actually on quite a bit, and unfortunately, too many of those lineups I think had Kyler Murray in them, so it didn't really seem to matter. Same thing had Goff, but yeah, Henry had a great day, and Ayuk just busted. I'm surprised this lineup made it this high, honestly, with the Ayuk chalk fail. But just really knocked it out of the park with the running backs. Kamara was another chalk bust. Charbonnet was really the only chalk running back that smashed. And yeah, Jawan Jennings all over the leaderboards. Amari Cooper, I mean, 14%. So you knew he was going to be in basically every single one of these lineups. But yeah, I think, we kind of get the point here. Another Darnold lineup. And, we're seeing a combination of wide receiver in the flex, running back in the flex, a little bit of both on this slate. And that makes sense because it was a really good value slate for running backs. But so good lineups, obviously in the top 10 in the millie. And what I want to do now is I like to look at the MME strategy of DFS pros. What were their fades? We could start to see patterns. And, we're going to look at Megan Joy here. Now, she has, first off, I always think it's awesome when you see females play DFS, a sport that is like 99% male, and absolutely crush it. Megan Joy is an inspiration to a lot of people. Like she kills it. She's won the millie before. I reviewed her lineup on this show, and we're gonna see here. She takes hard stance on players, so she doesn't play scared. That's one of the things I think is one of the biggest things to being able to take down a large field GPP is you have to take hard stands. You got to know you're going to lose a lot, but you also put yourself in the best position to eventually win one of these things. So her lineup, 218, top 50, obviously 37th, contrarian, as we're seeing. She had a golf lineup, and gosh, it sucks the stack didn't get there because the rest of the lineup, with the exception of McBride, I mean, there was some great spots. Williams, Charbonnet, Adunze, Jennings, obviously, Chuba Hubbard was a great play, 30 points, 5,200, 2% owned. Like, wow. And then Minnesota D, they're for real. Like, that's been one of the craziest things to watch is because for a long time they had a bad defense, and wow, how things have quickly changed. So that was her top lineup. She had another one in the top 50 here. This was a Caleb to DJ Moore to a Dunze, and that's not the last time we're going to see that. Promise you that. Running back in the flex. Yeah, a lot of running back in the flex. And that one had Jawan Jennings in the flex. But let's take a look at Megan Joy's exposures. Kind of see where she was at with her quarterbacks. Now, you notice on quarterback, a lot of different quarterbacks are being played here. And, pretty flat exposures, 12%, 10, 14, 13. So, didn't really go all in on anybody. Now, that was a quarterback. Running back's a different story. Clearly love Charbonnet, and I love Charbonnet too. Like, I thought it was really good chalk. Favored at home, won't get phased out of the game. We're going to be winning anyway because they're going against Skylar Thompson, but won't get phased out of the game because he gets receiving work. Just a very good running back who just happened to go get drafted by a team that already had a good running back. But I thought it was a great play. Obviously, loved Kyron in this spot. That's what I'm talking about. The hard stands, the positive leverage, just going all in on a guy who was looking to be in a negative game script, but is a really good back. And he was obviously going to get a ton of volume. I think that's the thought process here. Now, not every move was correct. DeAndre Swift, I think he's terrible. Like, he's the most overhyped running back in the league. And he's been that way for years. I just don't think he's good. How many teams does he have to go to prove that he's not good? But still, 5,600, like, good spot. Played him. Taking those hard stands. Aaron Jones, same thing. Aaron Jones, like, when Aaron Jones is healthy, he's a good player. Jacob, so really kind of did well with the backs, except with the exception of Andre Swift. And then was, a little bit under on Akers. That was a smart move. He's not very good. And then under on, I might have to like close this somehow because this like won't go down. It's kind of frustrating. Anyways, under on Achon. I love that one. I thought that was weird chalk. Negative game script. Chalk 7K. Skylar Thompson at quarterback. I did not understand that. But yeah, under on Mason and Achon. So, making those hard. And actually, it was only 2% Mason that she had. But making those. Now, wide receiver, not going to see anything crazy here. So this was pretty flat exposures. Really just I think if you think about it in a way of like how many levers do I have to pull, right? Levers at the running back. And at wide receiver, it was like, I'm really not going crazy on anyone. I'm just gonna kind of be flat across the board and see where that takes me on some, of these guys that I like. I'm gonna be over the field, but it's not gonna be really high exposure. Neighbors, Moore, Jefferson, Odunze. So really good there. Cooper, same thing. Um, but did fade some of the chalk wide receivers. So, I liked where her head was. Godwin was a good play. Amon Ra was a good play. Neighbors was a good play. There were a lot of good plays here, but also just even on the field on Juwan Jennings, and then under on IU faded that chalk, under on Jameson Williams, recency bias, just fading some of the recency bias and the most obvious spots. So go over to tight end, over on Laporta, over on Andrews. That didn't work out. And under on Bowers. Didn't work out, but nonetheless, when you MME the Millie Maker, and you win 7K, like that's pretty awesome because it's very easy to just lose thousands in the Millie Maker. And was in on the Rams defense, and I like that move because everyone just assumed and faded Tampa defense, and that's kind of what I like to do with defenses on large field GPPs. It's so high variance, just go ahead and fade it. All right, I'm gonna look at a couple other DFS pros real quick here. Chipotle Addict, another good day. Wanted to take a look because I don't look at Chipotle Addict's exposures a whole lot in the Millie. Not like a really successful Millie Maker player. This was a pretty to Ayuk to Jennings, 220. So played chalk, played chalk tight end, chalk wide receiver, chalk running back. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, 120%. Like that's normally what you see most weeks when the Millie Maker. Just got let down by Ayuk mainly and Brock Bowers. But overall, good lineup. This was a Dak lineup to Lamb, running back in the flex. We got a Darnold lineup again, Jones, Jefferson. So might have been using the same optimizer as the person before. It might have been pushing that. Say look at Chipotle Addicts exposure. So nothing crazy. Geno Smith, DFS Army's optimizer was pushing Geno. So yeah, and he had a pretty decent day. If you just let it run with like no tweaks, like you definitely would have been getting Geno with our optimizer. Darnold, um, Hurts. Hurts was the chalk. Faded Kyler, faded Carr, faded that recency bias, faded Goff. So yeah, those guys, definitely disappointed, and that's certainly a way to leverage the field. And then same thing as Megan Joy. So Kyron Williams. And I think that the takeaway there for me is yeah, let's play the guy that's going to get a ton of volume because they're throwing the ball to Demarcus Robinson, Colby Parkinson, they're throwing the ball to Whittington, like all these unknowns. Why don't we just play the running back who we know is really good, broke the slate a bunch of times last year, won people millions in best ball. Like if we look back at it, and that's why I like to study past slates. We look back at it, we're like, yeah, why didn't we do that? Why didn't that ring a bell so that we can think about that next time that situation comes up? So and Charbonnet Jones. So obviously can't nail everything. Just over the field and Devin H on over on Kamara. So this was kind of that lever that was pulled. Like, yeah, let me be a little over on these guys, but let me really go in on Kyron Williams and under on Mason. So a lot of people faded Mason. The extra price, just hoping for a bad day, and they got it. I thought Tank Dell was going to have a better day, didn't, but I think his breakout day is coming for sure. more Jennings. And yeah, the people that made money, they obviously had to be over the fill on Jennings. I really love Godwin. He had a decent day. Uh, you know, would have loved to see more, but it was a great play with Mike Evans being shadowed more or less by Patrick Surtain. I gotta tell you guys, I'm watching Washington Cincinnati game, and I just did not see this coming. Washington's putting it on Cincinnati right now. I'm sure Uppers is happy. Upper slide. A was for the people that did well was just being under on the chalk wide receivers. Now had a good amount of Bowers, 21%, and I liked Saubert. I played a little bit of Saubert just because he was 2,500, didn't have to do much. Gets 10 points, probably win you the tournament. So I like Stoneman guys in a good offense. Yeah, I'll take that. Ferguson, yeah, Ferguson a month. So that's, perfectly good. So let's move along here. Want to look at a couple others. So C Sears, we looked at him last week and he won second place last week, 200K. Like I said, he's, a guy that's very sharp in the milli maker. And, he is one of those guys. He's kind of become the new Whistles. In fact, Whistles, he doesn't even play the milli maker every week anymore. I think he just kind of plays it when he really feels good about his edge in the milli maker that week. But Caleb this week, last time it was 95% Gardner Minshew. So, yeah, Caleb had a pretty good week. You look at his top lineup, he had obviously 100% exposure, 23 points at 5,600. DJ Moore in this one, though. So, you really would have wanted the Adunze in this one. Didn't get there, not nearly close enough, but, top 100, 212 points, 77%. And, you know, more chalk, good chalk, Charbonnet, and then a lot of like one-offs essentially as far as good plays. Neighbors, a little secondary stack there with Neighbors and Amari Cooper. So I like that. I thought Olave was a really good play in that spot. High projected game total. Um, yeah, we talked about some of these running backs. Obviously, Aaron Jones and Amari Cooper finally got it going. So he had Caleb 100%. Over on Gibbs, I liked that in that game environment. I liked Rashad White. Didn't get there. And you know what? I think Rashad White's days are numbered because Bucky Irving looked really good. I watched that whole game. His negative game script really for them. The Broncos shocked them, shocked most people winning that game. So didn't quite get there, but that was a metrics standpoint. Broncos have not been very good against the run, for the past couple years. The Broncos were 6-point underdogs. So in that regard, I liked the Rashad White play. We talked about Taylor. Now, pretty even with the field here on Jordan Mason. And then faded, just a little under on H-on. Faded Akers, faded Kamara. So those were the fades. Now, obviously, if you're going to have 100% Caleb Williams, you're going to have a lot of stacks that are high exposed too. DJ Moore was the guy who went all in 100%. Rome Odunze 45. And then, yeah, also decided to go in on Olave. So one of the things about C Sears is he will go very high in on certain players. And I like it because you play the Millie Maker, you're taking hard stands. You know that if you play this contest, you're more likely to lose all of your money most weeks. So might as well try to win it. So that's certainly how he plays it. And, Goddard, same thing. It's almost, in some ways, it's like, the script of the slate because playing 63% Goddard there, that's like That's some really good direct leverage. And, it was kind of aided. His total score was kind of aided, obviously, by Devonta Smith getting hurt, but still, like in terms of direct leverage, that's a really good play. And yeah, I like it. I like it. Let's see where he was at defense. Cleveland, Minnesota. What are your settings do you use to run the domination station? And I asked this for personal benefit. Like I wasn't going to share it on this um, show, but I also, he basically said that he runs it so that he run it like again and again and again until he gets it basically the way he thinks the slate's going to play out. And I love that. And I think I've done my best in DFS, had the majority of my takedowns when I did the same thing. And I think that's the way to play. And I think at the end of the day, most of the settings don't really like matter too much as long as you know a lot about DFS and like what it takes to win and you play the slate how you think it's going to play out and you will continue to run the domination station until you get it that way. Don't just be like, it's good enough. Play it the way you think it's going to play out. That's what a lot of the most successful people that I've asked, kind of what they do in DFS, they basically all come to that same conclusion. So I wanted to look at sliders, lineups, exposures to kind of just see, where his thought process was. So, at quarterback, nothing that really stands out too much except some good in game environments. Obviously, Dak, we got Stroud, we got Goff, we got Hertz, Lamar. So these are good game environments that he was looking to target and kind of playing both sides. And you see sometimes these games you think it's going to go one way, it doesn't. So I like that. I like seeing that with right away the quarterbacks just flat exposures to games that he thinks obviously can shoot out and wants to be on the right side of that. Now, Aaron Jones again with sharp play over the field there. Um, game that was projected as close, and Aaron Jones is a really good running back when he's healthy. Same thing with Gibbs. He gets work as a receiver and a runner, and they were favored in that game, and it was a high total. So I love that. Henry, same thing, favored, high total, and they didn't give Derrick Henry a bunch of money not to use him. So I love that. I like the Bucky Irving call. I drafted a lot of him in best ball. I think he's going to take over that backfield at some point. Love it. Basically, even on Charbonnet, a little under on Mason, under on H. John and Kamara, and I love that too because that's kind of what I say. Just taking those hard stands on the chalk that you don't think makes sense, right? Now, Ayuk here definitely hurt him a little bit, but it was a really good spot for Ayuk. So I totally understand playing him. Like he got 10 targets, he just only caught 5 of them. That's Juwan Jennings smash. But the thought process here obviously was he really liked the San Francisco offense and was double the field on Jennings. So really good. Loved Olave there. None of the guys were above 40, really above 40%. 42 was the highest. Same at running back. I think 37 was the highest. Deontay was in a good spot. So, these plays make sense. A little over on Devonta, even on Shaheed, and under on Jameson. The Evans fade made sense to me, and the field faded him too. I'm actually surprised the field was that sharp to fade him. Field is not what he used to be. That's crazy. And tight end. So Otten, loved Otten against Denver. Bad defense. Dallas Goddard. Parkinson, your value guy who's going to get a lot of targets. Ferguson, Great play, worked out. Saubert, same thing. Double the field. Didn't have to get crazy. Didn't have to get 30% of a 25K guy, but double the field. So I liked it. And yeah, a little over on Tampa, um, Miami, Pittsburgh, Houston, Tampa. No defense too high, and that's kind of how I play it. I'm not getting 20% plus exposure on a defense because it's high variance. So you know, just getting a decent amount of exposure and uh, letting the variance do its thing. But yeah, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up this week. If you like this kind of content, let me know. Let me know how the Millie Maker went for you. Make sure you hit that like button. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the content, specifically tournament tactics when we go live. We also have a showdown breakdown coming Wednesday. And right now, guys, you can still try DFS Army if you want to be a part of the winning community, the wall of winners. Solely build a bankroll and cash games and small tournaments. You don't have to do the large field GPPs. You want access to the projections, the tools, the optimizer, the domination station, the Discord community, all the tools and the community. You can try it for just $10 for your first week. So use code Crunch. I will put the link in the video description. That gives you $10 for your first week. You don't like it, you can cancel. If you're like a lot of people, I think you will want to stay and be part of something. So that's gonna do it. We'll see you next time.